thanks again for meeting me out here,
Glad
because
to do
it's awesome to catch up with you just personally, and and especially because you've got this new book.
Yeah,
So,
I'm excited.
So this is and when did this come out?
October 1st. I'm Dan Sellers, author of Haunted High Point, and co-author of a book called Carolina Haints, and the host and producer of the Carolina Haints podcast. Also, I don't know what you call it, director, president, in charge, the guy in charge of Carolina Haints nonprofit organization. So we do a lot of stuff. I run Wreak, Havoc Productions, which is a small film production company. We've made quite a few shorts and a few feature films over the years.
Living the son of a bitch!
Still have a few in the works, knock on wood.
Awesome.
That funding comes through, stuff like that. And we have done a couple podcasts over the years, and International Film Festival that has gone for 11 years now. So
that's awesome.
We've stayed pretty busy.
That is awesome.
But yeah, like you said, it's spooky season. So
yeah, it is.
I've got a new book out just for the occasion, and
which is awesome. And I gotta ask. Oh, first off, thanks, Seth, here at Dooley's, which is a haunted location, and I had an interesting experience while I was up here. He owns two boroughs just right across the street, and you've got the Don Quixote Stout, and I've got the Mystery Machine, which is just aptly named for this type of year. Oh, yes. Yep. Cheers.
Yeah. This is great, by the way.
Yeah.
Don Quixote Stout. It's amazing. I think maybe it was the last time I saw you in person. I met you and brought you a copy of my book. That was one of the most painful days of my life.
That's right.
You remember?
That's right.
I had a kidney stone.
Yeah, that's right.
God, that was awful. I remember I got halfway to our meeting point and had to pull over the side of the road and throw up. And
I remember you telling me that it was in Yadkinville. We met at that
Yadkinville, I eventually, I think a few weeks after we met, I had to end up having it cut out.
Oh, get out.
And that was a rough recovery procedure, but
Oh, dude.
Just a follow-up to that last meeting.
Woo.
So,
well, you're doing good, huh?
I'm good now. So,
You're not a Haint, so you're here.
Not yet. Yeah.
Are you still doing folk? Is that?
Yeah. Which is kind of like a spin-off of Carolina Haints. So they're shorter, tighter episodes, but they're about lesser-known folk stories. They're not necessarily scary stories, but just cool folklore tales. You hate to even say legends, because some of these aren't even legendary status. They're just stories that a lot of them have gotten lost in the weeds over the years.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm kind of resurrecting them. I'm trying to a little bit. So
which that's cool. That's cool to see. Tell me what was it about High Point that you wanted to dive into? Because I mean, I gotta tell you, Carolina Haints was an awesome book. I read through that real quick, and what made Carolina Haints stand out to me was your approach. Not only do you cover the history and the hauntings, but you go back and revisit the areas and tell the reader if you had any kind of encounters, which I thought was a nice little twist, a nice little touch.
That's what I love about these folklore tales, the local stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love fiction. I love ghost stories, but there's something about local lore that is so special, because you can go visit these places, and that's one of the reasons I love putting up these Legends lore markers, is because it just commemorates a special place. But I've always been fascinated with that since I was a kid, and still am, that that you can read a ghost story or a folklore legend and then go visit the place. So that, to me, that is so freaking cool. But High Point specifically, so it's a little backwards for me. I'm a resident now. I haven't always been, but I've worked in High Point for close to 20 years now, and I've been one of these naysayers for the longest time. I said, man, there's no good High Point stories. High Point sucks. There's just nothing good there. It really wasn't until recently that I started doing some digging that I was asked to do a few speaking engagements. I get asked to do speaking engagements all over, like usually libraries and stuff like that, which is a really cool gig. I usually just read from the book or read episodes of the podcast and folks like that.
Yeah.
But I always try to pick a local story depending on where I'm at. So if I'm going to, Troutman, North Carolina, like I'll pick a story that's close to that area that folks there might know.
Yeah.
And I'll write something just for those people. In High Point, I was trying to do some research. I was like, man, there's nothing here in High Point. I looked for things. I found stuff. I was like, there's a lot more than I knew I knew about. You know, I've been working at High Point forever. I knew of a couple of places here and there. I've had some experiences in High Point.
Yeah.
But I didn't know about as far as like legends, as far as stories. I mean, of course, we have Lydia in Jamestown, which is just literally a hop, skip, and a jump from city limits. But the more I started digging, boy, I was wrong. There's tons of stories. There's good stuff, and they go back, you know, early 19th century.
Oh, wow.
Before High Point was even established as a town. So,
yeah.
I mean, it goes back a ways. You can find this stuff printed in all newspapers. It's there if you know where to look. You know, I've spent a lot of time at the library, spent a lot of time at the museum, and also just talking to people I know who have had experiences and getting their firsthand accounts and that sort of stuff. So kind of mashing all those things together is what led to these 18 chapters in this book.
The process, how long did it take you to gather and get this to a point to where you're like, okay, this is good to go?
Well, really, the longest part is just gathering the research materials, like finding everything. Once I really sat down and start writing it all, it flowed. Like I already had everything together. I knew what I wanted to say. I speak with my voice. I don't try to write as if, you know, I'm somebody else. I try to speak, if it's coming from me and I'm telling the story. So I have that point of view, and I have, you know, the years of experience of being a writer and research on ghost stories and stuff. So from the time I started working on this project to being published this month was probably a year and a half.
Okay.
Not too bad.
Shoot, that's not bad at all.
And honestly, I have probably enough research material where if I could give it more time, I could probably get a whole other volume.
No kidding.
With more time to do research.
Oh man, see that's the plus side of doing the research is just like when you get in through the weeds and you find more and more, it's just like, I'm going to stockpile this because
I'm saving this for later. This is a golden gem. Like there's a handful of chapters that I was going to include, and it was like I can keep digging and looking for more research. Like I couldn't get there's some places where it's super haunted. I just couldn't get people to talk to me. Like,
oh, no kidding.
They were just like, I'm not talking to a researcher about this place because, you know, I work there or whatever. I haven't given up. Obviously, I will keep trying to find new sources and stuff like that. But essentially, I'll just table those for future writings or research. But there's plenty more places that are not in this book.
Awesome.
So we'll see.
Oh, teaser.
Sequel, yeah. Volume 2, yeah.
So is there any particular story that you really cling to that's like, this is some good stuff right here?
You know, so
don't give it away.
There's a lot.
Because y'all got to read this.
Yeah, you got to buy it yourself. It's on Amazon. The one that I think that I tend to gravitate towards the most is probably The Witch of Inverness. And I was just earlier this morning. I was just at her grave in the cemetery.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm a spooky creep. I was out there with a news crew giving an interview about her story. She was a Scottish immigrant who, with her husband, who was also a German, who came in and built a home in High Point in the 1880s. And she had a beautiful flower bed or a flower garden at her home that she tended. It was immaculate, and she constantly, took care of it. The house was kind of a first of its kind. It was the first house in High Point with indoor plumbing. So this is kind of, very early days. They were kind of a peculiar couple.
There's an actual person.
It's a dark figure. It's a shadowy figure. I see it.
That got me.
After she died, and after her husband died, the flowers kept getting tended to. People kept seeing her out there, gliding back and forth all hours of the day, like taking care of the flowers. And so, for some reason, because of her Scottish roots, I think a lot of the neighborhood kids took to calling the ghost the Witch of Inverness.
Okay.
Not that she ever did anything, or was involved in witchcraft or anything like that, but specifically where she came from in Scotland was known for a pretty dramatic period of witch trials and stuff like that. Centuries prior, so perhaps that's part of that.
Yeah.
But the years and decades, centuries since all this happened, other people who have tried to live in that house couldn't do it. We really don't know why. probably because it's haunted. Other buildings that they tried to build over that spot, plans couldn't go through.
Okay.
There was a park there at one point, didn't last very long. So things don't go so well at that.
Okay.
One really important part of High Point history is the what they call the Big Bureau, which is on the front cover here.
Yeah.
Which was actually built, I think, to be the Chamber of Commerce building on that spot. But it was eventually moved to its current location. So it didn't even stay there very long. So it was built there, then moved, and it's been given a facelift, so it doesn't even look like that anymore.
Yeah.
So now there's a Baptist church on the spot and has been there for many years, but the actual spot where the house stood is a parking lot.
Okay.
There are currently plans for the city of High Point to build a city hall. And to buy.
No kidding.
I think they're buying the church, tearing it down, and building a new city hall.
Really? Yeah.
So we'll see how those plans
that
go.
works out.
Yeah. I read in the book, maybe they should plant some flowers there to, as a peace offering or something. But
no kidding.
I think it's just a really neat story that, even the local papers would print people's sightings of her and reactions. And there was even one in the local paper that said, Ghost acts like witch.
Oh.
as a header.
Interesting.
Because she was, people would be run off from the property, and it would always be attributed to the haunting.
Okay.
And I think the woman who is essentially in life probably a perfectly lovely person was given a kind of an evil moniker in death, and I don't know if that's fair, but that's
gotcha. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So it's a really fascinating history tale, kind of disguised by a little bit of a ghost/witch tale.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
That's one story I just happened to find very fascinating in High Point, and but there's quite a few in here that I had never heard before.
Yeah.
You've got the neighboring little suburb of Jamestown, right in between High Point and Greensboro. And I think what happened is 1920 rolls around, Lydia happens.
Yep.
That becomes a big thing because I think people legitimately start seeing her with some frequency. Word spreads around. That becomes a big story. Nancy Roberts starts writing about it. It becomes an even bigger deal. People start, whether it's real or not, they start telling it more.
Yeah.
I think people just forget about a lot of these other stories.
That's true.
And she just kind of drowns. They kind of get drowned out in the noise. That's my theory. Not to take away from Lydia, because that is also a very special story.
Yeah.
And also just kind of bring it back to what I was going to say earlier. It's kind of how we met at the dedication ceremony for the Legends and Lore marker in Jamestown for Lydia's Bridge.
What's the Legends and Lore marker? Funny you should ask. Click the link up above and you'll find out.
Thank you again for meeting up. This has been an awesome conversation. It's good to catch up with you, and you folks need to get this book because it's going to be good.